So this is a quick video on how to play Sealed Monstas, a 2 to 4 deck construction game. The objective of the game is to earn the most recognition. And how do you do that? Over 3 rounds, you will be playing Monster cards that have various effects. Give everyone one playmat, publication slash supply card, double-sided reference card here. Assign someone as the starting player for the first round. Open the box of common cards. Set aside Kroiklutz, Galasher, Untuith, and Keetle as the commons. Open the Origins box. Look at the reference card on the specific rule set. This one is the standard. And we open the Origin box specifically because we are going to be playing the introductory game where we have a preset deck. Otherwise, we would be playing with the standard game setup, where in the first round, we would be playing with 2 different decks, and then the second round 1 and the third round 1, so 4 out of the 5 decks, where we have the Origins, Twilight, Condensed, Legend, and the Flora. The anatomy of the card is here, where the top is the name, the pronunciation guide, the icon of which deck box it belongs to, how many tokens this monster can hold, as well as the pre-printed token, an ability if it's in a text box, and some flavor text here as well as the image. So what do you actually do in this game? First, you're going to hypothesize, which is create your deck with 14 cards maximum. After that, we go into the actual gameplay, which is researching against your other opponents. You take turns in turn order until your deck runs out, and it's made up of 5 phases. And then after everyone finishes researching, that's when we publish and score points for round 1. Document it down, and then continue again for rounds 2 and then 3. So normally, during the start of a round, you would open up a box and deal 13 cards to each player so that they have something to work with. And then after that, you will create a deck of 14 cards out of all of your cards in your inventory. Since this is an introductory game, we're going to use the standard deck, and we're going to shuffle the cards and place it on top of our deadline spot on your player mat. So draw 3 cards to start your turn. Everyone does this. You optionally can choose to mulligan, which is taking a redraw token. That's -2 points at the end of the game. You take your hand of cards, you shuffle it back into the deck, and you can only do this once per turn, but you can do it each round. Part 2, look for any pink cards that have the reference abilities, and you optionally can choose to activate as many pink cards as you want. They go out of your hand. You might as well activate them because everything in your hand will be discarded over here. So here, for example, move a card in my hand to the top of your deck. This could be useful because you can manipulate your deck, but also if your deck keeps going, you have longer turns. So I will use this in my reference ability down here. Move a card from my hand to my deck, to the top, place it there. And then each turn, you are allowed to document 1 monster. Document 1 monster per turn is the default, but if you have an ability that lets you do more, you can document more. So I will play this down, and if I document this monster, it has a document ability. If I have 0 cards in my hand, gain 1 blue token on this. That's great. Everything in the reference area in my hand would go to my discard pile over here. This will stay up here and play. I redraw 3 more cards, which is a default each turn. Your hand draw size can change depending on monster abilities. And then the next player would go. So the start of my second turn, I can mulligan again if I want, but I don't want to get negative points, so I'll just do this again, reference ability, put something to the top of my hand. Might as well do the same combo as before. This one, if I document Wizant here, I would draw less cards, which means my deck would last longer, so I could get more turns. So, but this was a good combo, so I'll just put Wizant back to the top of the deck, and then I'll put this guy, document him here, 0 cards in my hand, get another blue token. Then my turn, move that over there. Next player can go, draw 3 more cards. Turn 3, I don't have any pink reference abilities, so I can't use that. I can only document 1 monster per turn, so let's see what I should document. So what do the icons do in this game? Looking at our reference cards here, the left side is what you do on your turn, and on the right side here, which is the back side, you will score points for every token at the end of the game, 2 points. You'll lose 2 points for every mulligan token you have. So what tokens matter? All pink heart tokens on your monsters that have been documented and additional tokens are worth 1 point for pink. If you have the most blue tokens, you get 2 points for every orange tokens you have documented in that round against other players. Only one person can have the most blues, and then all your oranges are worth 2. If there are other people that are tied for the most blues, no one will get 2 per orange. That defaults down to every other player gets 1, including yourself, if you tied for the most blues. If there are multiple players with the least blues in their round, all oranges are worth 0 points for those players. Otherwise, orange tokens are worth 1 if you're in the middle, and orange tokens are worth 2 if you have the most blue. And by default, each blue token you have is worth 2 points. So, if every token is worth 2 points, I want to get the most blue tokens against my opponents in this current round, so that every orange token I have this round will be worth 2 points, instead of it being worth 1 or potentially 0 if I tie blues with others. So I'll play Galasher. No, I'll play this for the ability. I like that. For my next hand draw, I'm going to draw 2 less cards. Instead of 3, it would be 2, so my deck would last. Everything in my hand goes into the discard. So I draw 1 now, because it's 2 less, and the other player would go. So I'm stuck with the decision to either play this for the reference ability or document the monster for 1 blue icon. The icon here, if I reference it, it is draw 3 cards, and I can document 1 extra monster. But that won't do me any good because the ability is only for this turn. Yeah, actually, draw 3 cards is good. I would like to do that. So this turn, because of Bomakin's ability, I can document 2 monsters now. I could also play another reference card. Name a card. Too specific. Alright. I will document 2 monsters, and I will document Kroiklutz and 10 to Tan. When I document this, reveal my hand. If you revealed at least 1 card with a document ability, add 1 extra token to this. This doesn't have a document ability, and I'll discard everything in my hand. Otherwise, I should have played this and just like shot in the dark. Alright, I draw my final 3 cards. Now that the deadline has been revealed, this is my final turn and I have nothing left to draw. I can't extend my deck any further. So for my final turn here, even if I wanted to play Sapple Key, I cannot extend my deck any further. So what do I need now? I probably have the most blues against my opponents. 4. So if I have the most blues, oranges are worth more. Otherwise, I get a safe 1 token. So I'll play this. And then everything in my hand goes into the graveyard. Revelopus as well. I could not place anything from the graveyard to the top of my deck. The start player card goes to the player who finished last in the previous round. The person that stalled the game most, so that they can finish their deck quicker next time. So now we go into the publishing phase, which is scoring points. Every player scores points. All the tokens you've collected. Create a pile above your publications, and all the monsters you've placed onto the board here. Just scoop them up. Take the tokens, place them near a publication, and place your published monsters in the publication zone. Document your points on the score tracker for round 1, because if you have the most blues, then your oranges are worth more. Otherwise, your pinks are worth 1 each. Then you can start round 2. Everything from your discard actually goes into your supply so that you can use them again for rounds 2 and 3 to make your deck, in addition to the new biomes and the 13 cards from them. To start round 2, open up one of the decks, and then give everyone 13 cards, and then let them craft their deck with the remainder of cards they had in their supply, as well as the new cards that they have. At any point during the deck constructing phase, when you get your 13 new cards, you can choose to take the common cards as well, for free, and add them to your deck if you want. Again, at the end of the game, every token you've earned in your pool is worth 2 points. And you add up everything from your score pad as well. And every mulligan token is minus 2 points. The rulebook here has a whole bunch of fringe cases and clarifications on how abilities work. Here is the Origin deck box with a description on the back. Origins has no special ability, so it's very straightforward to play with. You see this flask here on the side, In the extreme case that cards contradict each other, the flask with the higher level would take precedent over the flask with the lower level. Here is the Twilight biome, and in this realm, we are introduced to the card mechanic of fin abilities for the finish. So they look great here, and fin abilities, after the final player has ended their turn, move the start player card to the final player. The final player gets to activate all of their fin abilities first, and then from there, it would go clockwise. So fin abilities, you can activate them in any order you want, but you have to activate all of your fin abilities. They are not optional. So they could be a detriment to you, but only if possible. Here is the Condensed Realm deck box. The novelty for this is that cards have traits: aquatic, parasitic, or burrowing, indicated by these icons here. And they work well together because some cards, such as Infill Cell, references these traits such as choose a trait, name a card, and all cards with that name are considered to have the selected trait this turn. So it could be something from this or something from your commons as well, and they can all have a trait. We have the Flora deck box, and in this realm, monsters will have the Curious trait. What does the Curious trait do? Before you throw away all of your cards at the end of step 4, you can set aside any cards with the Curious trait. And you can set them aside, and then when you refresh your hand, you can add these Curious trait cards set aside into your hand. So now you have 4 cards to work with. And here you can see the 5 monsters with the Curious trait, and they do piggyback off of the other deck boxes if you need to use a trait such as these. And lastly, we have the Legend box here. And in this realm, when you open the box, look for all of the cards with the Legend trait on it. And then from here, set them aside and shuffle them. Now, since the game is played over 3 rounds, each round, upon opening this deck box, reveal the top 2 cards from the trait pile. And at the end of the research phase, move each revealed trait monster to the player that satisfies the condition. In the case of a tie, remove that trait monster from the game. And be very careful when it says tokens compared to printed icons. So we have our regular monsters, but over here we have our trait monsters. So some conditions, like this guy, for example, of most number of unique cards in discard. Over here, most orange icons in paper. And with this monster, most tokens on a single monster in paper. So this deck box really benefits from opening first, so you can see more of the trait monsters revealed. Otherwise, if it's the last box open in the 3rd round, you'll only see it for 1 round.